Okay, it appears that this whole console thing is highlighting some kind of race to the bottom. I don't know what this is. But shout out to this audience member. They put their thoughts on here, and I really want to go ahead and dissect it because there are so many different, pieces to this conversation. And when we're talking about value proposition, I said, and this is a fact, that the value proposition that Xbox brings on the console space is better than what PlayStation and Xbox is better than what Xbox and Nintendo is doing. Nintendo, on the other hand, has shown up with a lot of price hiking and, in my opinion, anyways, money gouging attempts. And there are people who are, in a sense, saying that this is not really a big deal. We can usually just kind of see how players take into account these things, and we can kind of go from there because Nintendo is in its own little bubble compared to everybody else. Now, this is all interesting, but let's go ahead and read this comment. This person said, "What I'm tripping on is the whole time the Xbox community was screaming Nintendo is in their own lane or doing their own thing." Well, the reality is it's not just the Xbox community that was saying this. Everybody already knew it. They are the only ones that are traditionally exclusive in their games. PlayStation is not, Xbox is not. So also, obviously they were basically in their own little lane doing their own thing. The second thing is they're the only ones that had a handheld that was dockable, where you had a portable console and also a traditional console all jammed into one. They had their own thing going for them. So this is not that the Xbox community was saying it. Everybody knew it. Now, the rest of your comment says, now all of a sudden the Switch 2 is upping their price. The Xbox community wants to add them back to the conversation. Well, in all reality, I am a PC gamer. I couldn't be bothered what the Xbox community wants to do or not. I'm just juxtaposing what the available, gaming platforms are doing. And they're showing that Nintendo, in terms of what the gamer gains for their pocket, Nintendo's on the bottom of the list. Why? It's a mathematical thing. So you said this, the benefit is in the games that the players are fans of. Nintendo isn't talking to fans. They're talking to the haters when they say buy a Switch 1. So when Bowser said if you cannot afford the Switch 2, we already made a Switch 1. So what you're saying again is somehow the fans are already reconciled with buying a Switch 2 and going financially in on all what Nintendo is offering them. Why do gamers always make it very easy to insinuate that these gamers are drones and are mindless hives that go and do whatever it is they're told to do? You're putting me in a bind. I'm trying to talk about the gamers being people who are going to make their own decisions and are agencies in that regard, and you say things like this. You said Nintendo isn't talking to fans. Ooh, this is so cringy. They're talking to the haters when they say buy a Switch 1. The haters know who they are. And then you said this, they're the console warriors and gamers who expect everything to be free now that Game Pass has spoiled them. Bro, if I've ever seen a weak defense for bad business practice and people basically telling the consumer to shut up and eat what's been served to them, this is probably one of those examples. Did Nintendo not create an online subscription service where you get your so-called upgrades of your games for, in quote, free, similar to what Game Pass is doing? How in the world can you call it free? That's Game Pass when you need a Nintendo subscription to get a benefit that they want other people to pay for. What manner of world do we live in where people have just basically decided that they're going to insult the intellect of gamers? It's like some people think hype is some kind of a flex. Oh, I'm so hyped about this game. Hence, I get to just pretty much mindlessly jump in and eat what's being served to me. And anybody that basically questions it is a hater. What? See, we weren't going to buy a Nintendo Switch. I wasn't. You might. Some people will. I'm not giving this company money for a Switch 2 because this is like a race to the bottom. It's like everybody is trying to figure out like who's the less worst or something in some aspect, right? As a PC gamer, I don't walked away from all this console stuff. However, as somebody who's interested in gaming as a whole, I see that even console gaming is very pivotal because it has a way of bleeding into the nasty that PC gamers sometimes have to deal with. Now, we do go ahead and kind of show these console folk when they come to PC how to act accordingly. Don't get me wrong. For instance, I don't know if y'all forgot real quick when we told Sony how it needs to be done. When their games were ignored on Steam after they were putting this, PlayStation sign-in network requirement, and we looked at them and said, you have lost your minds. If you're going to do business, do business. If you're going to basically starve your customers, go on your platform and do that. Yes, this is literally where the consumer don't own your box, are not relegated to your box, so we can basically tell you, why don't you go pound sand? So if I'm saying to Nintendo that, hey man, what you're doing is absolutely wild, and Nintendo people are coming out and saying that we're haters, they must love being treated by Nintendo the way Nintendo chooses to treat them. And man, maybe you all deserve each other. Does that make sense? Maybe that's all what you guys absolutely deserve, is a company that will come and disrespect you, milk you, and like one of my audience members said, raise their middle finger in the air. Yeah, somebody said this in a video, in a comment, and I made a video on it. They said Nintendo's Bowser could raise his hand as his middle finger in the air, say F all of you, and the Nintendo Switch will still sell more than the PlayStation and the Xbox. Somebody said that in the comments. Actually, sell more than the Xbox is what somebody said in the comment section. From a software and hardware perspective, that's literally what somebody said. Whereas on PC, and I think this is probably why Nintendo looks at PC and says, nah, bro, we are not touching that, because they know that we would check their BS easily right at the door. We'll be like, who's gonna give you that? And I think what you're hearing is me having seen, and you say this, and people they're expecting things to be free. I don't know why anybody. Maybe you're talking to some console warrior somewhere, but as a PC gamer who we invest in our hardware, we spend time and research and resources in building our device. You would have to say it will be hard for you to run by the expectation of free from a PC gamer who not only spends time but also their money and resources in building their hardware. We're not expecting anything to be free. In fact, we can show you a comparison of who's expecting things to be free from the games that they play, and you're going to be surprised when you see it. You're going to be surprised when you see it. Do you want me to show it to you? And if you're a PlayStation fan, it's one of those times where you're about to catch you're about to catch some smoke that wasn't necessary. It's called collateral damage. This is fallout that, is coming your way, because a lot of these Nintendo players, I think they might be almost, let me just not say it, because not yet. Look at this. Look at the top games that are being played on console. Look at them. Most of them free to play games. Look at the top games that are being played on PC. Look at them. Look at them. Paid games. So for you to say that, based on your so-called, now, yeah, we have some free to play, don't get me wrong, but we got some paid games that have been sitting here on PC, like Baldur's Gate 3 for the longest time. Right? Balatro for the longest time. Monster Hunter Wilds, are they even playing that on console these days? Where is it? It's not even on PlayStation. Look at this. They don't forgotten about it. After Zubitech was mouthing nonsense, saying, that Matt Piscatella was talking nonsense. See, these PlayStation fanboys, you know what? This is not your video, though. Let me not get distracted. Let me focus on what this person is saying. Goodness gracious. So again, when you make statements like that, you know what I mean? Like, you really got to be careful what you're saying. You're literally sitting here and celebrating poor consumer practices when there's a better option where you, the consumer, actually gets to call the shots. This is why a lot of these companies that want to rip off their audiences don't like PC, because it's very hard for them to do it. I now see why many of them are very adamant about the PC space, except for the ones who are very comfortable here. From Software, they're very comfortable here, right? They're okay. They're like, man, we know this community. We know how they roll. We know how they rock. And we're going to bring our games there. But the ones those publishers and those, platforms that want to do nonsense, when they come here, they get put in their place. I am so happy that PlayStation was actually put in its place when it came out to PC with that stupid sign-in requirement crap that it was doing after having brought games and not required any PlayStation requirement stuff. When they dropped the requirement and they quietly dropped it, they were like, oh, we're only dropping it for 4 games. But lately, they've launched another game called TLOU 2. They didn't require it. They're about to launch Bungie's Marathon. They're not going to require it. Why? Because they want to sell copies. Nintendo is being fed by those of you who call anybody who criticizes the poor business practices haters. So you all deserve each other. Keep it up. Keep Nintendo fed and see how they continue to treat you. Stockholm Syndrome is what people are starting to call it in the comment section. This is weird, bro. I've never seen anything like this before. Interesting stuff. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace out.